Fertility treatment. What a waste of money. If you can't have a child, it's your fault. My husband shouted at me, dropping a massive bombshell at the end. I'm divorcing you and marrying your sister. Yes, my husband chose my sister over me, his infertile wife. My name is Lisa. I live with my husband, Nick. The days I get to spend with my loving husband, that in itself was a source of happiness. But we struggled to have a child. We started talking about fertility treatments 2 years after we got married. Hey Nick, I think it's time we seriously consider having a baby. Yeah, but... My husband replied, clearly not enthusiastic. Fertility treatments are a lot of work, right? It's physically hard, and not to mention, they're expensive. That's true, but if it means we can have a baby, I think it's worth relying on treatment a little. Well, that might be true, but still. Nick didn't outright reject fertility treatments, but he wasn't exactly eager to pursue them either. Since I became a housewife due to his job transfer, I understood he might be worried about money. Nick, don't worry about the money. It's been 6 months since we moved, and I'm getting used to this place. I'm thinking of finding a job soon. That way, we won't have to worry so much about finances, right? If I started earning an income, our life would be more comfortable. Then, maybe Nick would be more open to fertility treatments. But Nick's reaction was not what I expected. Well, if you want to work, that's great, but... Finding a job just to pay for fertility treatment seems backward. Most people get pregnant naturally, right? Not really. Women's bodies are more complicated than that. I often hear that when couples can't conceive, it's usually the woman's fault. His words annoyed me, but I responded calmly. People say that, but men can be infertile too. It can be caused by alcohol, obesity, or childhood illnesses. Nick frowned at my response. That might be true, but logically, the chances are higher for women. I've never had any major illnesses, and I only drink occasionally. I don't think I have a problem. So you're saying it's my fault? I'm not saying that, just speaking generally. The problem lies with me, the woman. He doesn't say it outright, but it's clear my husband thinks that way. That said, there's still a chance the problem could be with me. I decided to get tested for infertility. Unfortunately, my meal was waiting for me when I got home. Lisa, where have you been? You shouldn't be wandering around if you're a housewife. Let me in. It's too hot out here. My meal often visited unannounced, always monitoring me. Even if I did all my household chores, she would find something to criticize. Reluctantly, I let her in, and the first thing she said was, I heard you're going to go through fertility treatments? How did you know? Nick told me, of course. Is that so? I planned to wait before making any decisions about fertility treatments, so it was unexpected that my husband had already talked about it. Listen, the whole reason you married into this family was to provide an heir. Yet, 2 years of marriage, and still no children. It's like you married my son for nothing. I'm sorry I can't give you a grandchild yet, but Nick and I are working together to make it happen. My meal sighed deeply at my neutral response. Lisa, if trying hard was all it took, no one would have fertility issues. Clearly, the problem lies with you, so you should consider a divorce or something. Divorce? That's outrageous. Of course it is. Nick can't possibly be infertile. Like mother, like son. Both my husband and my mill firmly believed the infertility issue was mine. Satisfied with her rant, my mill left for the day. When I told my husband what his mother said after he returned from work, see, even mom says I'm not the problem. If there's an issue, it's you, Lisa. He nodded smugly as he said this. Talking to him now was pointless. He wouldn't even entertain the idea that he might be part of the problem. So, I decided to wait for the results of my infertility tests. A few days later, I visited the hospital again. There, the doctor gave me surprising news. So, Lisa, you have no issues at all. Really? Then why? The doctor looked uncomfortable. Have a good talk with your husband. If you really want a baby, he should get tested too. My husband, tested? Yes, it could be either of you, but pregnancy requires both partners' cooperation. I suggest he gets tested as well, just in case. I see. There's nothing wrong with me. I was relieved by the doctor's words, but more than that, I was worried about how to tell my husband. Being vague would only complicate things. The test results are in. Let's talk tonight. I texted Nick and waited for him to come home. As I prepared dinner, he arrived. Behind my husband, there was my meal as well. Wait, Mill? Why are you here? I invited her. When I told her about the results, she wanted to come along. My husband had a confident expression on his face. He didn't seem to think there was even the slightest chance that the problem could be with him. Lisa, tell us the results, though I think we already know. My Mill smirked, but I said straightforward, I have no issues. The doctor wants Nick to get tested too. Excuse me? Why me? Nick's mood instantly soured. Why? Because pregnancy is a team effort. Since I'm fine, the doctor suggested you get tested. What are you saying? That I'm the problem? No, I'm saying we should both be sure. If there's an issue, we can just do something for it. As I tried to calm him, my Mill jumped in. Stop this nonsense. Nick's been healthy his whole life. He can't be the problem. My Mill refused to listen, insisting her son was blameless. To convince them, I showed the doctor's report. Look, it clearly states I'm not the problem. But Nick and his Mill barely glanced at the report, refusing to read. Unwilling to accept the truth, my husband began spouting nonsense. Women are the ones who get pregnant, so it has to be your fault. Wait a minute, I just showed you the report. This time, my Mill shrugged in exasperation. You probably made a fake report yourself because you don't want a divorce. Lisa, you really are a scary woman. What? Why would I do that? Don't say such things. Ignoring my protest, my Mill and husband continued their conversation. Hey Nick, wouldn't a younger woman be better? Yeah, at this point, it might be the best option. The timing is perfect. Are you talking about that? Right, strike while the iron is hot. That thing. What are they talking about? A few minutes later, my husband's revelation left me speechless. Actually, I've gotten your sister pregnant. What? She found out just recently. If I were infertile, your sister wouldn't be pregnant, right? You got my sister pregnant? My mind was spinning in confusion. Ignoring my turmoil, my husband continued. So, I'm planning to marry your sister, Sarah. Mom really wants a grandchild soon. My mind went blank, and I nearly collapsed. My husband cheated on me with my sister? And now she's pregnant, and they plan to marry. Wait a minute. Sarah is still in college. And she had a boyfriend. Yeah, but she fell for me. Since when? We've been involved for a while now. He calmly admitted his betrayal. While I was discussing my infertility issues with him, he was having an affair with my sister. Betrayed by both my husband and my sister. To think I was discussing infertility with my husband, completely unaware of what was going on. My Mill added insult to injury. See? My son can get a woman pregnant. So, it's obviously your fault. We don't need a wife who can't have kids. Yeah, that's right. My husband joined in. So, it's settled. We're getting a divorce. I have the paper here. Just sign it. He pushed the divorce paper at me with a smile. Are they serious? Getting the sister of wife pregnant and planning to marry her. This is beyond my understanding. It was at that moment that an indescribable anger rose within me. Fine, we'll divorce, but you'll pay compensation. Once agreed, my husband immediately kicked me out of the house. Goodbye, infertile woman. I'll be happy with your lovely sister. Later, I returned to my parents' house and explained everything. My parents were furious, but my sister had long been estranged from the family. I was the only one still in contact with her. Because of her reckless behavior, mainly regarding money and relationships, my sister had caused our parents endless trouble. Finally, when she started college, they disowned her. Still, she was my only beloved sister. That's why I regularly invited her over for meals with my husband. I never imagined she'd end up with him. My parents said they would call my sister and husband to give them a stern talking to, but I told them, you don't need to do anything. Because I knew that even if they got married, it wouldn't work out. And a few years later, I married a man named Sam, whom I met at my new job, and we had a daughter. One day, while the three of us were out together, someone called out, Hey, Lisa, Nick, it's been a while, Lisa. It was my ex-husband. He glanced at my daughter and current husband, then said bitterly, So you remarried. Good for you, finding someone who'd take you. That's none of your business. How does it feel to be married to my sister? Nick's face immediately turned sour. I knew it. Pretending ignorance, I asked him, What's with that face? You should be happy with my sister, who you made pregnant, right? Well, actually, Nick replied, looking pale. Sarah turned out to be extremely unfaithful. Even after having the baby, she kept cheating on me with my money. That's why we divorced. She took all the baby stuff I bought, and the baby too. Oh, what a disaster. I said so, though I already knew. My sister's promiscuity had caused countless problems, and she frequently begged our parents for money. Once my daughter and husband were out of earshot, Nick turned to me. Hey Lisa, why don't we get back together? What? What are you talking about? I'm remarried, as you can see. But she's just your stepchild, right? You don't have to take care of someone else's kid. Let's live freely together. He mistakenly thought my daughter was my husband's child. He still didn't believe I could have children. I proudly told him the truth. What are you talking about? She's my biological daughter. What? The look on his face was still unforgettable. He looked 5 times more foolish than usual. But weren't you infertile? He trembled as he asked. I explained calmly. Too bad for you. I got pregnant right after remarrying. And by the way, who knows whose child Sarah was carrying? I looked at him mischievously. His face turned even paler. Wait, what do you mean by that? Nothing much, just a thought. I knew she was promiscuous. Also, the infertility issue was probably yours. You were just a pawn in her game. A pawn? Yes. She probably just needed a man to marry and raise her kid. You fell for her plan and married her, not knowing you were raising another man's child. No way. Are you saying I was used for brood parasitism? Nick collapsed, crying and clinging to me. Please, Lisa. You're the only one for me. Sarah and the kid left me, and even Mom abandoned me. I'll be all alone. That's not my problem. You brought this on yourself. You're pathetic for someone your age. I looked down at him and said it flatly. Nick slumped his shoulders, utterly dejected. After that, he bombarded me with desperate emails. I was wrong. I want to start over. Lisa, you're the only one for me. Please come back. I'll never cheat again. But I never respond and blocked him completely. Later, Nick had a DNA test done on my sister's child. The result? Of course, the child wasn't his. Now, he doesn't even go to work and spends his days holed up at home, abandoned by his only ally, his mother. Serves him right. Since then, I haven't seen Nick. I now have a family that means the world to me. A man like that no longer matters. From now on, I'll focus on the wonderful husband who chose me and our precious daughter who came into our lives.